women lose themselves. I actually felt like I was losing myself and I'd partly lost myself. And I realized after a very long time, looking back, that I was unable to make some decisions even from drop access. So it ended up escalating a lot of frustrations for myself, and also a lot of exhaustion for myself. Yet I'm also exhausted back home. And that's why I wanted to quit working at drop access. And people looked at how I was winning awards, still even getting funded, like luckily, and also just being so privileged to still get funded by so many top organizations globally to continue the work that we do at Drop Access. But really underneath, I was crumbling. I was just completely crumbling. I was really bullied as a child. Yes. And that has impacted how I work now. I was bullied for not being too short. I was bullied for not being tall enough for somebody who is tallish. I was bullied for being too dark, not being dark enough for a Luo woman, for a Luo girl. Yes, for all sides of I was bullied for being too smart in class, like all manner of things. And that impacted how I show up. So eventually I realized that my voice is being diminished, so I have to speak louder. There's no shortage of skills. And also there's no shortage in ways of acquiring a skill for any African youth. We've seen people who've never stepped in high school acquiring other skills, even digital skills. Yeah. That's why I wouldn't even say that, you must be mainstream in school.
Book smart versus street smart.
No.
Hello, my name is Zeddy Bariti, and it is my utmost pleasure to welcome you to the second season of the Power Dialogue Africa. Today, I'll be in conversation with a phenomenal award-winning African leader who's exceptional in so many ways.
Hi,
hello.
How
are you?
I'm very fine, thank you.
Karibu sana to the set.
Asante.
It's been a minute.
It's been. Thank you for hosting me again.
Karibu sana.
Thank you.
I'd like you to tell us, if someone comes across this video for the first time on their timeline, what should they know about you?
So, lately I like to be perceived and to be known as an African who advocated for Africa to build its own technology and also design its own system as a continent of its own. I do agree that we get a lot of support externally, but I really do feel like it's time for Africa to architect its own future, especially through engineering and technology development.
Great. You haven't mentioned what you do. I'll just share that you're a mechanical engineer. Is that right?
Yes, it's true.
I'd like for you to tell us, in your journey, was there a moment that hit you that made you go like, I am going to be a mechanical engineer? When was that, and how has that shaped your path?
Yeah, definitely. So there are several moments that showed me when I was growing up that I definitely want to be an engineer. But one moment that I always remember was a time when I think I was around 7 years old. I built a bedside fan for myself in my
7
bedroom.
years old?
Yes.
Nilikuwa nacheza kalongo when I was 7 years old.
Well, I used to think a lot with stuff. So like my brother's toy cars, our dolls, I just open them up and figure out like what's making this noise. So I learned about motors, I learned about batteries, I learned about cables, I learned about how machines work. So I built a bedside fan by taking a cutout of you remember the lid of Blue Band? The blue lid of Blue Band, when Blue Band now started packaging with plastic. No, the lid of Blue Band. The plastic blue.
So, I'm trying to get the picture.
So I cut out a fan shape and I put it on a motor that I think I got it from my brother's toy car. Then I connected some batteries and I built a fan. And it wasn't that instant. Like I'd tried doing it possibly for quite a number of times. And the moment it worked, that's when I realized, oh my God, I want to be playing with equipment. I want to be playing with tools. I want to be playing with machines. And I just knew that I was going to be an engineer. Yeah.
So it was more like accidental, would you say?
Experimental.
Experimental.
Yes.
And how is that? Because I imagine if you ask me, I will think it will be your brother doing that. What kind of family environment did you grow up in so that it made you confident in pursuing such a path in your life? Because this is mostly a male-dominated career path. What is it that made you be confident in pursuing that career path?
So when I look back, my mom and my dad were quite fierce advocates for women taking up education, women doing phenomenal things. So, and from a very early age. Later on, I realized also then the society that we grew in didn't really advocate for women because as I became older, I would hear like my relatives or my community saying that I don't think really you fit in engineering. You should do something like education or become a secretary because they felt like that is where I belonged or like that is where I fitted the most. And engineering was too masculine. But when I look at what my parents always told us and even told me, they literally used to say that I want all the girls in this family also to pursue engineering and medicine. It didn't mean much then, but then later on, I realized that there were really fierce advocates of women taking up STEM and women taking up space in male-dominated spaces. And I think growing up in that environment where they were the principal caretakers just always gave me the freedom and the confidence that I can do whatever it is that I can do. I can play with toys and tools and machines and discover without really feeling like, okay, I can't go to this limit, that this is what a boy should do.
Thank you. So your parents were your most fierce advocates?
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Great.
Especially my dad.
Yeah.
Especially my dad. And that was shocking because all the other males in his environment didn't really think that way. So for him, it was a bit radical in thought then. And he felt like women should also work in the space that I work in. Women should also work in the space of medicine. Women should work in engineering. So I think when he had daughters, he just replicated us to be the women who are taking up those spaces.
That's rare and very powerful.
Yeah.
Talking about spaces where women should be and shouldn't be, what is the work that you do and why is it important?
Yeah, sure, definitely. So I run Drop Access, and we are manufacturers of clean energy technologies here in Kenya to serve the whole African continent with our flagship product that has really given us dominance in the space is a solution called VaxiBox. That is a portable, solar-powered and IoT-enabled vaccine refrigerator that is being locally made here. I took part in designing VaxiBox, something that I'm very, very proud of, but also was able to include so many other people, so many other Kenyans to take part in designing VaxiBox here. So we locally make VaxiBox and we're serving several African countries. And we always look at it like it's a solution that is not just built for Kenya. As much as it's being built in Kenya, it's built for the whole continent and even beyond. So Drop Access is looking towards manufacturing technologies locally here in the continent to serve pretty much the whole world. Yeah.
Good stuff.
Thank you.
Is it the first solar-powered refrigerator that we have in Kenya?
It's not really the first solar-powered refrigerator that we have in Kenya, but it's the first solar-powered refrigerator for healthcare to be locally made in Kenya. A lot of the already existing solar refrigerators, both for food and for healthcare, that are in Kenya and even in the continent, but there's none that is being made in Kenya.
Specifically for healthcare.
Specifically for healthcare. So actually it gives us a first in the market where we are known to be people who are pushing for local manufacturing of portable solar-powered healthcare refrigerator, which is really, really a great thing because then it opens up doors to innovation for beyond healthcare. What else can we actually make in Kenya? What else can we actually make in the continent? Yeah.
That's really good stuff.
Thank you.
From your work, you have really proven that women can be in male-dominated fields.
Yep.
And not just be in them, but excel in them.
Yes.
In your opinion, what does it take for women to be unstoppable in these spaces that are not traditionally for women?
Yeah. I think first, is a bit of support, really. All of us are conscious, are really self-conscious of taking a step that has not been taken before. So a little bit of support. It could be support from our teachers, from our spouses, from our parents. I think that is really the first step to ensure that women actually excel in a male-dominated field or even be trailblazers in their way. And sometimes we overlook support and always think that I can do this on my own, which there's nothing wrong with the belief because I've been a strong believer of I can do this, and that is what has gotten me to where I need to be. But having that environment that you're told that you can actually excel in this space is very, very important, because then all the baggage of imposter syndrome or I'm too scared or I can't do it, you drop it. It's a thing of the past when you have an environment where you have the support to actually thrive in it. And another thing also is women have to realize, first of all, when it comes to careers and work or even running enterprises or even being trailblazers, a man or a woman can actually do it. Like there is no restriction to women. There are definitely instances where women are restricted, and I hope I'll be able to share those instances. But ordinarily, there are no restrictions really. The way our brains think, the way we're able to execute solutions, the way we're able to run businesses, there are no restrictions. Women can equally perform. So also women need to really embrace and know that. And looking up to other women, I've really grown from actually looking at women who've really trailblazed in Kenya and even beyond. And also just told myself, okay, fine. If she did it and she's a woman, I think I can also do it.
Yeah.
You know, you just pretty much borrow somebody else's confidence
Yeah.
and run with it. So yeah, those are really just my opinion on what I feel like women need to actually just be trailblazers in various spaces. Yeah.
I like the fact that you have mentioned that leadership
Yeah.
knows no gender. And these are quotes by someone I know. She keeps on saying leadership and all good attributes know no gender.
It's
so
true.
whatever a man can do, women can actually do, and
It's
even
true.
better sometimes.
It's true.
Yes.
It's true.
So this year started on a high, a low, Trump and all,
Yes.
and USAID closing shop, and so many jitters around funding.
Yeah.
And for so many entrepreneurs, funding is the monster they can never get around. As the co-founder and CEO of Drop Access, what advice do you have to entrepreneurs who are coming into this space, maybe in healthcare, in energy? What can they do so that they're not stuck? Because if you don't have the funding, there's nothing much you can do.
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. It's true. First, fundraising is hard. Getting funds is hard. In whatever way you're getting funds and whatever form of funding you're getting, whether it's a grant or a concession or a loan, like fundraising is hard. So that's just the bare minimum, and it's hard for everyone. So with time, I've realized that I've had to be innovative with fundraising, and I'm hoping that if I share how I was innovative, somebody will truly pick up tricks of how they can actually ensure that they fundraise. So if you look at how we've been able to raise all sorts of funds for Drop Access, I've raised funds identifying as a women-led business. I've raised funds identifying as a clean technology business. I've raised funds identifying as a local manufacturer, as an African manufacturer, as an African-led business. Like I had to devise literally so many various ways to be able to to access various kinds of funding. And one thing people need to know that money follows money. So you need to raise some form of funding so that you're able to unlock the next form of funding. So if you're able to figure out what innovative way you can pitch your business or pivot your business or even position yourself, then you'll be able to unlock some certain funding, and this funding will go ahead to actually unlock another. One thing about funding also is that people fund people. So on the other, on both sides of, let's say, a funding conversation, there's a human being. Like, for example, there's myself who runs a business. Then there's, let's say, somebody who's a fund manager. It's also a human being. So they want to understand the persona that I am, my beliefs, the kind of personality that I am. So I always tell funders to be really open and try to push for conversations with human beings, not with systems, because people fund people. So get in the networks and the circles of those funding organizations. Get to know them, have conversations with them so that they remember you and give you priority when they're planning for their funds. Because then you won't be pitched against thousands or millions of competitors once a funder remembers you and they remember that your goal was actually something that they actually is part of their goal to fund, then they could possibly unlock funding. But then also with the USAID fund being closed and that being uncertain, I've really truly become an advocate of sustainability for African businesses, with actually African ventures. So that actually includes even non-profit organizations. We must pursue sustainability. We must pursue avenues of how we're generating income for the company or for the organization or for the NGO in one way or another. It doesn't have to be break even, but there must be some income that is coming in through, let's say, trade or through consultancies to just ensure that in case where there is no funding is available, the organization can actually fund itself. And I truly do think that it's time for Africa to actually devise ways of being sustainable so that they fund their own businesses. They're able to fund themselves even in times when they're funding winters, like what's just happened right now in the whole world. Yeah.
Great. I've gotten money follows money.
Yep.
And people seek out people.
Yep.
And one thing that has stood out for me is positioning businesses that we lead, because when you brand yourself a particular way, you'll actually attract particular donors.
It's true.
So it's very important how
Yeah.
we brand what we do
Yep.
and how we position it out there. Just as you were said, this year has still been very exciting.
Yeah.
And I know something that most people in my circle are talking about is DeepSeek
Yeah.
and AI and
Yeah.
various capabilities that are coming to the fore.
Yeah.
I'd like to know, what kind of innovations are you looking out for? What stands out for you, particularly in healthcare and energy access in Africa? What innovations should we be seeking, even as a country,
Yeah.
or just aligning ourselves towards?
Yeah. So I'll be very honest with you, Zeddy. I'm a fan of AI. I use AI a lot, and I believe in the capabilities, like the immense capabilities of AI. And AI is something that I feel it's here with us. And there's so many innovations that can be done around AI, which is really exciting because then we can always iterate and build continuously, and so many things that we even haven't imagined. So I truly do advocate for governments, countries, organization to seek ways of using AI safely and also equitably in whatever that they do. But one thing that I am holding on to, not even a particular innovation, is the possibility that Africa can actually make its own technologies in whatever form, whether it's in accessible technologies, whether it's in manufacturing, whether it's in food, whether it's in clean tech. I truly do believe there is immense potential with Africans, Kenya, and any other African country making its own technology, because it starts a ripple effect. Like what I saw with Drop Access when we started manufacturing Vaxibox is we created microeconomies for places where we'd actually set up our manufacturing facility. These microeconomies created more businesses. And I feel like that is a path towards reducing poverty levels and just ending a lot of challenges that we face as a continent. But then also building these economies just will put us at a point where we're not looked at as a third world country that is normally just constantly dependent on aid. So I believe that if we take up local production, local development of various kinds of technologies, whether it's even software or hardware, it unlocks other things. Like it starts a ripple effect that creates compounding effect and compounding impacts to creating jobs, to ensure that people actually have access to funding, to even creating other technologies that are paired with already these existing technologies. Let me give an example. So when we started the whole Vaxibox process, at one point, some of the healthcare ecosystem told us that you need to pair this with a digital tool. So we brought in an IoT capability to ensure that the Vaxibox is able to send various kinds of data and also to be accessed. So that was like a web platform, a mobile application. And I discovered that these kind of applications were being developed by young people in Kenya. So to me, I saw how one locally manufactured product or technology that is being designed in the continent opened an opportunity and created a job for another technology. And after we built the web platform and the mobile applications, we started working on the PCB board. And now there is locally manufacturing of circuitry. Like it's just started a whole ripple effect that is creating jobs, that is building economies that is ensuring that guys actually are able to earn well
Yeah.
and also just live better. And I feel like this is like a theory of change of how to eradicate poverty in the African continent. So I won't really speak a specific technology as much as I'm a fan of AI and I'll push for AI, but then I'll pick for an innovation in a systems innovation, how we do things in the continent. That to me, I know it's monstrous. Like you can't just pick like, oh yeah, this is the one single path, but we need to rethink how we do things in Africa, how systems are built in Africa, and it all trickles down to technology, to work, to how we perceive funding, to just create a ripple effect that create long-lasting impact for the continent.
I like that. And one thing that I have seen with local manufacturing and locally made is getting buy-in.
Yeah.
Some of the times, Kenyans, Africans, we don't believe in what we manufacture.
Most of the time.
Yeah, I think we just need to move away from that
Yeah.
mentality and believe in what we can do as a people.
It's true.
Yes. Talking about shifting mentalities, what do you think that African youth can do? Is there are their skills? Is it a change of mindset? What can we do as youth to be competitive in a very fast evolving world?
Yeah. So one thing I always tell people, and it must sound a bit pessimist, but it's the truth, no one is coming to save us. And I think we had a brief discussion with you, Zeddy, about it. The African youth must understand that no one is coming to save us. Not even the government, not even our parents are going to save us. We have to save ourselves. That is not really a negative thought in it. It's actually power, because then it gives you the opportunity to run with your idea, to run with the solution you want to build. Like I think it presents an opportunity for you to just be innovative in how you do things. Skills is not something that is in a, what can I say? There's no shortage of skills. And also there's no shortage in ways of acquiring a skill for any African youth. We've seen people who've never stepped in high school acquiring other skills, even digital skills.
Yeah.
That's why I wouldn't even say that, oh, you must be mainstream in school.
Book smart
Yes.
versus street smart.
No, I think you can innovate in any way that you want. And there's so much information and data. Literally, even if you take a newspaper, you get information of what you can actually do to empower yourself, to build your own career. And they just need to realize that one, no one is coming to save us. Two, there's so much immense opportunity that we should grab. And the world is so small. You don't even have to be working in Kenya or Africa. You can literally be based here in the country and be working anywhere in the globe. Just access digital tools. Learn something new in the digital space, or in any way, learn a new skill and try to build something given the challenges that surround us. And that's one thing I always also tell youth, that look at the challenges in our communities. All those challenges are opportunities for you to actually build something out of it. First of all, you'll be creating impact. And second, you'll be creating employment for yourself. Or not just employment, you can actually create something so good. I've seen people in the startup space like us, and even I admit, starting Vaxibox to address cold chain and energy access issues was to address one challenge, but then it gave me a life I never even imagined.
A whole ecosystem around it.
Whole ecosystem around it, and I see things differently. And I wouldn't want to go back and say that, okay, let me start from scratch and maybe go to school and pick something, like maybe become a doctor because I didn't get a job in when I studied engineering. No, I know, even if let's say eventually I transition from drop access, I'll pick another challenge in my community and I'll try to address it, because I know I can build a world around it. I can create jobs around it. I can build a whole life around it. And I can build something so good by trying to save myself.
That's true.
Yeah.
And there's something that's usually very underrated experience.
Yeah.
When you get that, no one can take that away from you. And it's just upon you to see how you can pull out and just make the most out of it.
It's true. It's
Yeah.
true. There's a joke I had that you can lose a Bitcoin, but you can lose an experience.
Yeah, you cannot, ever.
Yeah, it's true.
Nora, you're one of the most celebrated young people I know. And congratulations for that.
Thank you.
So most of the people, I believe, when they look at you, they see your successes, your triumphs, your wins, and it's very human to do so.
Yeah.
But I know everyone has days that don't go so well for them, and twists and turns as part of life.
Yeah.
What is something that's unexpected about you, that is personal, that most people don't know about? And how do you keep going during the tough days when success seems so far away?
Yeah. So 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 people, a lot of people don't know that in last year, 2024, and this started, I think, end of 2023. I actually wanted to quit Drop Access. I wanted to quit it all. I wanted to quit working in the energy space, in the startup, in the entrepreneurship space in Kenya. I wanted to just leave everything that I was doing and just start a new life. And there is a whole back history as why I felt that way. So, so I realized I wasn't feeling really right in myself. I was always exhausted. I was always sad. I was always feeling depressive, and it's because I changed, and I changed because I had a baby. Like I had I have two kids. There's a 7-year-old and one who is almost 2 years old. And now the second one who is almost 2 years old, I had him in April of 2023. And I was all in the motherhood bliss and joy of a new baby. He's so cute. But then over time, I got stuck in the routine of nesting and mothering that I was always so exhausted to even focus on why I do the work that I do. And I hope we'll have a chance to address the why, hopefully. I forgot my why. I forgot why I advocate for a different kind of Africa when it comes to technology development. I forgot why I believe in the fact that Africa should have non-negotiables in the way we live our lives. Like we should have bare minimums in what Africans get. And I got stuck in the nesting and the mothering, and I was always exhausted, always focused on the baby. And at that point, I just wanted to quit working on Drop Access. It was really, really, really hard trying to run a company while also raising a child. And don't get me wrong, Zeddy, having a child is a beautiful thing. It's a blessing because the people who have tried also having children, and unfortunately they haven't. And it's a devastating thing being on the other end. But now on this other end, I found myself having been blessed with two children. I was depressed. I was sad. I was unhappy. I wanted to quit working at Drop Access. I was always complaining of how I'm just in a state where I don't like my life. So I think that moment I got so exhausted. I changed the way I make decision even for Drop Access, and I didn't really feel good about myself for a very long time. That I wanted to actually leave the company and possibly get a whole new job or start another new life or focus on something else. And it's a moment that I realized that there's so many things that we don't address for women, especially women who've had children. You get stuck into some wormhole of mothering and nesting, which is not necessarily a bad thing because it's necessary because that's how generation get to live on. But then women lose themselves. I actually felt like I was losing myself and I'd partly lost myself. And I realized after a very long time, looking back, that I was unable to make some decisions even from Drop Access. So it ended up escalating a lot of frustrations for myself and also a lot of exhaustion for myself. Yet I'm also exhausted back home. And that's why I wanted to quit working at Drop Access. And people looked at how I was winning awards, still even getting funded, like luckily, and also just being so privileged to still get funded by so many top organizations globally to continue the work that we do at Drop Access. But really underneath, I was crumbling. I was just completely crumbling. And we all often look at the face value of so many things. Look at the face value of how somebody is trailblazing on social media, on LinkedIn, and just assume that everything is all well. But I feel like it's high time we start having this conversation of what's really going on underneath. I think for me that was such an awakening call of I have created a facade of a very highly successful woman, but really deep down and at the back there was a woman who was crumbling, and I couldn't tell people that. Like only a few people knew. Like my spouse, my family members, and also when I say seeking therapy for it. And we really don't address that a lot. So I've always thought that I can't be irresponsible to create that face that everything is always perfect. And yet, not at all times, it's not perfect. I think we need to talk more often. And I hope that even through this podcast, like my voice is extended out there to just really create the reality of what happens to people who seemingly look successful, or situations that seemingly look successful, but behind the back, they're paddling so hard to actually just stay alive.
So sorry to hear about that.
Thank you.
You make it all look so good. And indeed, motherhood is a beautiful journey, but some people struggle with it.
Yeah.
What would you advise career women who are struggling with that? Any kind of woman who's struggling with just staying afloat after motherhood? What can they do to just not be the same, but just have a bit of sanity in their lives?
Yeah. Well, right now, I am a firm believer of speak out. Speak out to whoever can listen. I have a whole, we will have a whole day of talking about women speaking out. Sadly enough, a lot of women pain is trivialized when you speak out, especially like when you become a mother. The focus should be take care of the children. Don't be sick. Don't be sick at any one point because who will take care of the kids? So I think we need to speak out when we're in pain. We need to speak out when we're tired, and we need to speak out when we actually need help. Because I spoke out to a friend about my struggles, and she referred me to a therapist. Yes, and I actually started seeking therapy just to help me out figure out what exactly is happening and how do I manage to survive through this. And I do recognize that not everybody can also afford therapy. Like it's also sort of a privileged thing, but then also the world has changed now. They're actually online and much more affordable, like therapist services. Some even are free. So I really do feel like women should seek help. Sometimes the help is not available at home. Maybe they should just try to seek help externally. But then also, I give the women in the society, or even not even women only, the whole community to reach out and call on to those women who seemingly look okay, but they might not be, so that they get an opportunity, or rather, they get an environment where they feel like I can be listened to, I can speak about my challenges, and I can actually seek help. So it has to be a push and pull. The whole society has to support or provide the supporting environment, or even just that time to listen to somebody speaking out. And for the woman, they have to speak up and seek help in whatever way they can get it, from a friend, from a therapist, from whatever, what can I say, safe way they can actually seek help. Yeah.
Mental health is really key.
Yeah.
And we will strive to check on each other.
Yeah, it's true.
I know one thing that women struggle with,
Yes.
motherhood and all, is likability. We want to seem like we have everything in order at work, at home, and it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Personally, I don't have a problem with people who don't like me, but I do have a problem with people who pretend to, because that's where everything just
true.
comes crumbling down.
It's true.
What's your take on likability? Because it seems to be something that affects women more than men.
It's true.
And what would your advice be about navigating this scenario?
Yeah, it's true, Zeddy. So sadly enough, when women try to trailblaze, there's a perception that is built that we are too strong-willed, we are unbreakable, we can't be controlled. And I always wonder, why is it that people always want to control other people? Anyway, so that brings up the whole, we're not going to like you because you seem to be succeeding in one way or another.
And you're too much, you're too extra.
Exactly, you're too extra, you speak too much, you're... Okay, Zeddy, I have been told that I'm all over the place. I don't know what that means, because Africa is so big. I need to be all over the place to ensure that everybody gets equitable help. So I don't even feel like I'm enough,
in all those places.
Yes. But I've been told I'm all over the place. And I know it came from a point of you're too much, And it happens a lot with the women who try to build something, who try to speak up, because a lot of African societies, and even some societies out of the continent, expect women to be all zipped up and not to be speaking. And if you're speaking,
to
maybe
be modest, to be calm, to be
calm.
quiet.
Yeah.
I've noticed it's very, very problematic when women ask questions.
Yes.
And I've gotten into so much trouble for my question asking, but I'm so inquisitive, I can't help it. So I'm usually the problematic one. Always.
It's true, because there's like, who are you to ask this question?
Why are you asking? Like, keep quiet.
Yeah, it's true. I haven't really figured out a way to navigate it, because personally I've walded through it, gotten lost without really knowing how do I not even become likable, but how do I not become unlikable? Because unlikability now breeds other things, where a perception is created about you, sometimes it's wrong, and it can affect your life. It can actually impact even the quality of your work and even your output. So I really do feel like there's a lot of perceptions that are entrenched in our cultures, in our work streams, in our systems, that have really been developed over time, not even by men or women, like by everyone, by societies, to just stop women on their heels, stop you on their go, like you can't really proceed. Um, and I really feel like we need to examine those things in the systems and start breaking them down, obviously, without putting others at risk. So I don't even know how to package this, Zeddy. Not being liked because we are trailblazing, or rather being perceived that you're too loud, is a systematic problem. So we need to also handle a solution to it systematically. There is no single pill of you give people and then they're like, oh yeah, we accept women who are trailblazers in the same. That's not going to work. It's going to take many more men, many more women to come together to realize that women can equally raise their voices, because we are equally impactful. I mean, we are the mothers of the earth, so we are carrying the continent. So there's a place for us, which is important. Our voices is important. It should be heard. But then also, we need to start breaking this perception that when our voices are loud, we are being problematic or we are being rude. No, it just means we want to help. We want to create change. And sometimes our voices are loud because are loud now because it was silenced at some point. So I'll give you a story. I was really bullied as a child. Yes, and that has impacted how I work now. I was bullied for not being too short. I was bullied for not being tall enough for somebody who is tallish. I was bullied for being too dark, not being dark enough for a Luo woman, for a Luo girl. Yes, for all sides of it. I was bullied for being too smart in class, like all manner of things, and that impacted how I show up. So eventually, I realized that my voice is being diminished, so I have to speak louder. The way you're in a crowd and you're trying to look at what's ahead after the crowd, and you're middle of the crowd, you're shorter than the people around you, and you tiptoe, you stand on your toes to try to see. That's the whole thing about women speaking out and having a loud voice, because it was diminished. So you have to speak louder so that that voice is also still not diminished. And people take it the wrong way. And that's why the perception comes is you're too loud. You need to be stopped at your heels. We're not used to women speaking loud like this. But then we need to see ahead. We need to equally contribute. And we need inclusive societies where women equally have this space. So that's why I feel like it's a systematic challenge that can only be addressed through systematic change. And systematic change, there's no single pill to address it. It just has to take all of us to work together and just change our perception about women. We don't want to be liked. We just don't want to be unliked.
Yes.
Yeah. So
And take our rightful places.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah. Because for women and our society, it's like you're doomed if you do and doomed if you don't. You can't make everyone happy. So you just have to believe courage is very important. If what you're doing is right, keep at it.
It's true.
Yeah, because everyone will have their opinion of you, and you can't please everyone at the end of the day. You can only be true to yourself.
It's true.
Yes.
It's very true.
Yeah.
Very true.
Norah, after all is said and done, what kind of legacy do you want to leave behind, or do you want to leave alongside? When someone mentions Norah Magero, what should come up in their minds?
So the kind of legacy I want to leave is to be known for somebody who set non-negotiables for all Africans. I really do feel like Africans should have non-negotiables, things that should be advocated for by our governments, by our societies, by our leaders, non-negotiables in how we get healthcare, how we access technology, how we access food, how women are treated. There needs to be non-negotiables for Africans, and there needs to be bare minimum that each and every single African should have or should access. Because I feel like the rest of the world have some privileges. Sometimes Africa does not have those privileges because the perception of the global south. So when I work at Drop Access in building technologies, in advocating fiercely with my voice, in supporting women to take up entrepreneurship, supporting young people to take up entrepreneurship, in working towards structuring an Africa that can build its own, whether it's technology, whatever it is. To me, I'm trying to build a legacy of non-negotiables for all Africans.
Great non-negotiables. Got it. What would you say is the most African thing about you now that you're an advocate everywhere, non-negotiables and all?
Oh my goodness. I had to leave Africa to realize how African. I don't know whether it's.
It happens to most of
Yes.
us, actually. Yeah.
So, this is a story. I'm sorry. Every time I travel, and I've had the privilege to interact with so many people from all over the world, and also to travel to go to events and activities, I've always realized that my dressing is different. I'm full of color. So I call the rest of the world, especially the West, grayscale.
Yes.
Black suits, gray suits, white shirts. Like, it's all monochrome. If you look at the picture that I take in activities where
Yes.
we are like people from all over the world, look for, if you want to find me, look for the color.
Just spot you.
Yes.
I saw that on your TEDx. Wow.
Look for the color.
Yes.
I love color, and I realize that it's an African thing. So I always try to embrace some color because I feel like it's deeply what defines Africa. It's pomp and color and brightness. It's our sun. So I feel like that's my Africanness.
Color.
Yeah.
Which
color.
is good. As this is a Power Dialogue Africa, I'd like to know, what do you believe is your power and why?
My power is realizing that Africa can equally do it. And that drives my why. My why is equality for all Africans. Again, non-negotiable for all Africans, and Africans setting up the structures for all that. And Africans can do it. I've done it. I've helped other Africans build structures that are of African nature. They're Afrocentric. And my why has always been equality for all Africans. You know, like, why should we be treated differently from what's happening in the rest of the world? Why should we be packaged in some sort of narrative? Like, I hate all those narratives. So that's why I work towards building systems that just favor African development.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Talk about advocating for ourselves, Africa and Kenya. I'd like to know, what's your favorite destination in Kenya and why?
So I have a new favorite destination. That's Mfangano Island.
Where is that exactly?
Mfangano Island is in Lake Victoria, on the Homa Bay County side of Lake Victoria, but I think also you can actually access it from the Kisumu side of Lake Victoria. And I've been to Mfangano Island twice in my life, and every time I was awed how, I don't think this is the right reference here, how Mfangano Island is the Hawaii of Homa Bay County. I mean, the place is beautiful. It's green. The beaches, beautiful beaches. There's surrounded by water. There's food. There's fruits. The palm trees. Like, it's such an amazing, underrated place that I want to see it being developed and explode for tourism, but then also the people of Fangano benefiting and growing through all the activity that happen in Fangano. So definitely Fangano Island. Yeah.
Good. I have a new bucket list destination,
Fangano
the
Island.
Hawaii of Kenya.
Oh, yes. Yes.
I'd like to know, if you aren't a mechanical engineer, what will Norah be doing?
If I wasn't a mechanical engineer, oh my goodness. That's an unfair question because I always feel like I should do a lot of things. But fair enough. Fair enough. If I wasn't a mechanical engineer, oh my goodness. I have to pick one of all those
Please.
things I want to do. I will definitely be working in an advocacy role, possibly.
Non-negotiables.
Yes, yes. I feel like I have a voice. It's something that I found. Maybe I was born with it, and this voice is an advocacy voice. Even the kind of work that I do is an advocate related voice. So I'd working in an advocacy role for the African continent. I just don't know what it is really. Yeah.
Advocate. I'd like to know if your life will be summed into maybe a statement.
Yes.
Which African proverb will resonate most with your life?
My God. Zeddy. Wow. Wow. I need to think about that.
Food for thought.
Yeah, food
When
for
we
thought.
see you next,
Yes, I'll have a
please have an
proverb.
answer.
Actually, when I get it,
Yes.
to be my tagline.
Please.
To be tagline. Yeah.
Thank you so much. It's been an honor having you today. We look forward to following all your amazing accomplishments. Everywhere you go, everywhere, all those places, we will be there.
Thank you so much for hosting me.
Karibu sana. Thank you so much for tuning in, listening in, and watching. I will encourage you to like, comment, subscribe, and let me know whom you'd like to see next on the Power Dialogue Africa. Till next time, bye.